If you look at how we exercise in the West, there is a clear expectation that it has to be painful to work. We build our daily routines around grinding out reps, chasing total exhaustion, and punishing our bodies into shape. The problem with designing fitness around suffering is that it creates high abandonment rates. People burn out and quit, and as a result, countries pushing the most intense workout cultures are still struggling with high rates of heart disease. This chart compares heart disease mortality rates across all G7 nations. As you can see down here on the far right, Japan sits at the absolute lowest end of the scale by a wide margin. Yet they achieve these numbers without the aggressive gym culture we consider mandatory. Instead, their daily routines prioritize casual, low-impact movement. People are starting to notice the data behind this. In late 2024, online searches for the specific mechanics of Japanese walking hovered around a few hundred a month. By mid-2025, that number spiked to nearly 15,000 monthly queries. This surge in interest suggests a shift in how we think about exercise. The assumption that fitness requires extreme effort is being challenged by a simpler, data-backed method of movement. To understand the mechanics of how this works, we have to look at a 2007 landmark study conducted by Shinshu University on middle-aged adults. The researchers developed something called interval walking training. This timeline illustrates the specific protocol. It begins with a 3-minute peak of brisk, high-intensity walking, roughly 70% of maximum effort, which then drops into a 3-minute recovery trough of slow walking. Then the cycle repeats. If you maintain a steady, single-pace walk, your cardiovascular system quickly adapts. It becomes efficient, and your heart stops being actively challenged. But by kicking up into that brisk 3-minute interval, you force rapid cardiovascular adjustment. Your blood vessels expand quickly, and your lungs are suddenly forced to draw in more oxygen. Then, during the slow 3-minute interval, your body executes a restorative adaptation process. The cardiovascular system strengthens during this recovery phase. The immediate clinical outcomes of this rhythm are striking. Participants saw their systolic blood pressure drop by 10 points in men and 8 points in women. The metabolic impact is equally measurable. Adhering to this recovery routine reduced the risk of lifestyle-related diseases, including high blood glucose and elevated cholesterol, by an average of 17%. The study also tracked VO2 max, which is a clinical measurement of how efficiently your body uses oxygen. In just 5 months, participants improved their VO2 max by nearly 11%. Long-term population data shows that for every unit increase in aerobic capacity, you add roughly 45 extra days to your life. Run the math on that 11% improvement, and this simple routine yields approximately 130 extra days of life. Manipulating the rhythm of your walk generates more effective cardiovascular strengthening and lifespan extension than maintaining a steady-state cardio session on a treadmill. These physiological benefits are amplified by the setting where the walking takes place. In 1982, the Japanese government formalized this environmental connection through a public health policy known as Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. Walking in these green spaces produces an immediate biological impact. Exposure to natural environments causes a measurable drop in the stress hormone cortisol, pulling the human nervous system out of a chronic fight-or-flight state. This diagram maps how the environment acts as a catalyst. Trees release aromatic airborne compounds called phytoncides. As you breathe them in, these molecules are absorbed into the respiratory system, triggering a cellular response. At the immune level, absorbing these phytoncides causes a spike in natural killer cell activity, the specialized cells your body uses to fight off infection. Clinical tests show this immune boost lasts for up to 30 days after a single exposure. By combining interval walking with nature immersion, you pair intense cardiovascular conditioning with deep nervous system recovery. This approach opposes the isolated, high-stress environments often found in traditional indoor weight training. It trades physical confinement for an integrated system of movement. Applying this data is straightforward. Step 1 is preparing the body. Begin with 2 to 3 minutes of gentle strolling to ease your muscles and cardiovascular system into movement. Next is the core workout loop. As shown in this checklist matrix, you alternate 3 minutes of brisk walking, where your breathing is heavy but speech is still possible, with 3 minutes of slow recovery walking. You repeat that cycle 5 times for a total of 30 minutes. To hit the clinical threshold for success, you need to execute this protocol 4 times a week. And if you live in an urban environment, prioritizing local parks or tree-lined paths allows you to stack the immune benefits of those phytoncides on top of your intervals. There's an old rule in physical therapy. Exercise you enjoy is exercise you'll continue. Long-term heart health doesn't require treating the body as a machine to be punished, but as an ecosystem to be nurtured.